All right, all right. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, from any part of the world where you are watching this live on after the live event. Maybe you are just watching it as a recorded session. I want to welcome you to this another episode on Microsoft Fabric, mastering Microsoft Fabric from insights, from data to insight. Just give me a minute. Let me bring up my slide for today's presentation. Just a moment. Okay, perfect. All right, so I want to welcome you once again to this episode of study series Microsoft Fabric from data to insight. This is episode 3. In the past, we have had opportunity of episode 1. We have had opportunity of episode 2, and this is episode 3, which is focusing on the complete guide to data ingestion pathways in Microsoft Fabric. So this is being presented by my humble self, Popoola Isiaka Olamilekan. I'm Microsoft certified trainer with specialization on data, artificial intelligence, and automation. Today's date is September 27th, 2025. All right, so a little bit about where I am. This is just a summary about where I am. I'm information technology specialist with more than 13 years work experience in the IT industry, majorly on data related issues, majorly on issues that have to do with automation of business processes. I also take part in facilitating corporate information technology technical training sections. I also take part in tech-based community development, where we mentor younger generations into tech workload, and we also encourage our colleagues in order to leverage on recent advancement in technology to better solve on address challenges that are being faced by their clients. So this is a little bit about my certification, and of course, this is my LinkedIn account. You can get connected with me for a lot of updates that I share on my social media platforms. All right, so for today, the presentation outline is in this format, and firstly, there will be a recap of what was covered in the module 2. I told you that this is module 3, and then there will be what's the essence of today's section, and that will be the learning objective, what we intend to achieve, and from thereafter we dig deep into the core objectives of today. That has to do with what do we mean by data ingestion? Why does it matter? What are the overview of ingestion pathways? Of course, deep dive into each pathway that we have. Of course, there will be demos, and there will be description about best practices for ingestion, and there we will look at real world scenarios, and of course, there will be opportunity for Q&A section. All right, so inside module 2, during the section of module 2, we'll look at what we call a lakehouse, and we also look at why is lakehouse necessary. We also look at core features of Lakehouse in Fabric. We also look at Lakehouse architectures in Fabric, real-world use cases, and of course demo. Now, the idea is that when we're talking about Lakehouse is just a kind, in a layman language, is just like an environment, a data architecture in the cloud space that can help us to house, or that can help us to store our data, and can also help us to leverage on some other technologies that we have, that we have in a Microsoft Fabric. So, for more details about episode 2, I would like you to visit episode 2 from this playlist. It is available, and I'm very sure you will surely enjoy this gist. All right, so for today's section, the core objective is that at the end of this training, I want to see that learners understand the various data ingestion options in Microsoft Fabric, when to use each part, and each pathway, and how to apply best practices for seamless integration into Lakehouse and Warehouse. We can see from this learning objective that about three items are being underlined. Number one is that about four items. Number one is that what do we understand by the term data ingestion? We need to understand what do we mean by data ingestion, which is a terminology in the data feed. We also want to see when to use each part. What are the number one is what is data ingestion, and number two, what are the various data injection? That's objective number two. Objective number three is that when to use each pathway. If we say there are lots of them, when do we use each one? And why do we not use the other one, as the case may be? And last objective is that how to apply how to apply best practices for seamless integration into lakehouse and warehouses, right? So, and those are the core objectives of this section today. Now the question is, why data ingestion? Why data ingestion? Before I talk about why the data ingestion, let us explain what do we mean by data ingestion. Now, data ingestion means what? Movement of data from different sources, from any sources, into what? Into an environment where we can do a lot of activities on that data. And those activities that we can do is that we can just bring in data maybe just for storage. We can just bring in data maybe for transformation. We can just bring in data into an environment maybe for analysis. We can just bring in data into an environment maybe for some other activities that we may think of. So that's what we call injection. You can look at injection like a medical terminology, that if somebody is given an injection, that is maybe some medical items is being passed into the body system of maybe a patient, as the case may be. So that is injection in the real sense of medical science. But that is a borrowed language within the data space. That when we're talking about injection, we are talking about what? Movement of data, or connecting to data from different sources. And sources could be maybe our data is domiciled in a database, maybe our data is domiciled or residing in a file system, maybe our data is somewhere in the cloud. Anywhere, any sources that our data is located, we can connect to that data. That's what we mean by data injection. Now, after data injection, why does data injection matter? Now, data injection matter because when we are talking about analytics, or we are talking about what? Artificial intelligence, the core foundation of analytics, that is analyzing data. That is, we want to make insight. We want to make what? We want to make money out of the data being collected, being stored, being processed. The core foundation for analytics and artificial intelligence is what? Is data. So which means that it is the data that fuel analytics and what? Artificial intelligence. So for that reason, it means that for any analytics we want to do, or for any artificial intelligence we want to build as a solution, then we need to connect to a data that is being affected, that is being stored, that is being housed in a particular location. That's why data ingestion is very, very important, because data is always stored, right, before it is being used. So, and that is why in most cases, even in the streaming data, data will still be harvested into a system, right? It can be a temporary storage, right? Like a case of transactional data that can be maybe a permanent storage, but maybe a real time. We can just have a very small time of storage before it is being used. So the idea is that data must reside somewhere, data must be connected for us to any analysis or any analytics, or in terms of building solutions around AI. Number two, when you're talking about injection, data injection is also important because it is the gateway to insight. Imagine maybe I'm facilitating a class, and I have 50 participants in my class, right? And from that participants in them are female, 20 of them are female. Somebody just need what? Somebody just need information about, maybe there's a need for somebody to supply item to participant. Maybe there's a break time or this lunch time. Oh, Popoola, how many participants? The question will be, how many participants are in your class? I was okay. I have 50 participants in my class. So provision cannot be made for people that are seated or that are learners within the learning environment. So it means that if I need to store that data, maybe for future usage or maybe for future reporting, that okay, during this training we supply 50 people this kind of food, or we offer this to this kind of people, then data must what data injection must be of importance. Then number three, when data injection matter is that Microsoft Fabric offers a lot of pathway for different roles and use cases. Now, the idea is that uh, we have in module one, which is about different data roles, like the likes database administrator, the likes of data engineer, data analyst, and some other data roles. Now, Fabric environment now has a storage capacity or storage capability that different job roles within data space can now work together. So what was happening in the olden days was that different job roles they had different storage environment, but today this Fabric has now brought everybody together on the same spot, that okay, we can have a universal um or a unified data storage platform, maybe in our Lakehouse, that everybody can now be what can now have access to. Maybe we are working on a project and we are different data professional, that okay, instead of working in silos, that we can work together. So in that case, data ingestion will be what data ingestion will be very, very necessary, because what somebody has done, maybe data engineer, maybe data engineer has done ETL, right? And then maybe database administrator has done a lot of security, a lot of data management operations. But me, maybe I'm just an analyst, that I need to have access to a clean data for me to make insights. So you can see that there could be different use cases. In that case, there will always be need for data injection that is connected to a data from different sources. All right, so let us have an overview of injection pathway. After I've explained what we mean by injection, and after we have seen the need for data injection, the next question is what are the different pathways? That is, what are different ways we can have data injection within Microsoft Fabric environment? Number one way is what we call pipeline. That is what we call pipeline. And when you're talking about pipeline, we are talking about ETL. ETL, right? For somebody who doesn't, who is not familiar with data terminology, ETL means was extract. T means what? Transform, and L what? Load. L mean what? Load. So we can have ETL, we can have ELT, right? The difference between the two is that E stands for extract. That is, we want to extract a data from the source. The T stands for what? Transform. That is, we want to carry out some transformation. A good example of transformation may be, maybe we have a data that is not clean, or maybe we have a data in our database that has a lot of issues with definition of maybe data type and some other stuff. And when you're talking about loading, it means that we want to extract a data from a source, which we mean by what? By way of injection, right? So for you to collect that, for you to connect to a data at a source, that process is what we call data injection. So after extracting the data, we can now do transformation and we can now do load. So another way of ETL is what? ALT. That is, we do extraction first, we do data extraction first. We follow it up by what? We load it into a system, and then we now do transformation, as the case may be. Now, the idea is that when you're talking about pipeline, there's what we call data pipeline. Data pipeline is one of the injection pathways in Microsoft Fabric. And what that does is that it helps us more in the area of data engineering. Data engineering, right? So it helps us more in the area of data engineering. That is, all processes that are required to build infrastructure for data capturing, making data available for use. So in this case, we can make use of pipeline to do transformation. We can make use of pipeline to do scheduling, and we can also make use of pipeline maybe to do automation of data pipeline, right? So to do automation, that is okay. I want to. We can also make use of it for refresh, schedule refresh. That's what we call schedule refresh. And the idea is that okay, I'm just automating the processes of what of data movement in order to achieve a result. There's also what we call data flow gen 2. Data flow gen 2 is just a replica of what we have in Excel, that we call what data query. Power query. There is a solution we have in Excel, in the modern Excel. We call it what Power Query. And the essence of Power Query is to do what? Is to do some transformation that does not require coding. And that is why at the back end of data, at back end of the data flow, on back end of the Microsoft Power Query, you can see a lot of codes that are running. But when we're talking about data flow, or we are talking about Power Query, they are more of what GUI, graphical user interface. GUI, graphical user interface. That is, I'm not a programmer. I'm not a software developer. So I'm less concerned about the codes that are running behind the scene. I just want a transformation to be done and for me to get a result. So in that case, we can make use of what data flow gen 2, which is a low code injection for what for analysts. There's another solution that we have in terms of injection pathway. We call it what? We call it event stream. Now, event stream, there is what we call real-time streaming of data. Real-time streaming of data is a case study that is a situation whereby data is being generated continuously, right? Data is being generated continuously, and as data is being generated, we are also doing maybe analytics, right? So there's what we call transactional data, transaction data. That is, we have captured data over a period of time, uh, making it an historical data, right? And we are carrying out operation on it, maybe analysis or modeling or some other stuff on it. So, but when you're talking about event stream help us to capture real-time data. That is, as data is what? As data is being generated, data is being captured, and data is being analyzed as the case may be. So we also what we call notebook and Spark. Notebook and Spark. Um, Notebook and Spark is just like an environment within Fabric environment. Notebook, when you are hearing about notebook is more about a tool for um, data scientists, right? A tool that they use to write programs, right? Maybe machine learning programming languages, or we are talking about SQL, or we are talking about Python programming language. We are talking about R programming language, and some other programming languages that we have. So there is a notebook within the Fabric which make some data scientists to also run their programs and also get value. So we can use notebook to do what? To ingest data into the Fabric environment. So this is very flexible. Of course, it requires a lot of code. It requires a lot of code. There's also what we call Apache Spark. Apache Spark is just a technology that also work well with a notebook, especially for big data that are running into millions or billions of rows. So it can get work done. The two of them can get work done. Imagine you have 1 terabyte, data storage, that you want to move from a particular source to another location, from one source to a particular destination. That can require a lot of time, that could require a lot of resources, but with technology such as notebooks and Spark, that can save you a lot of time, that can save you a lot of a lot of resources to achieve. There is also what we call direct uploads and shortcuts. Direct uploads and shortcuts. In case of direct upload, when we upload data from our last class, from our episode 2, we can upload data into the Lakehouse environment, right? Maybe for data storage, and there could be a kind of direct upload. That is, wherever your data um, is being sourced, it can be moved directly into the Lakehouse environment. We also have what we call shortcut. Shortcut is just that instead of copying and pasting, right? Instead of copying a data from a location to a and pasting into a destination, what you just do is that you just connect with that data, right? There's a kind of what we call linked service linked link service. So just maybe a web address that you can just connect with, and a very good example of this is what we call ADS Gen 2, ADS Gen 2, Azure Data Lake Gen 2. So as the case may be, so this help us in terms of quick ad hoc and external data integration. So these are major data ingestion pathways that we have in Microsoft Fabric. So this particular episode is being produced just for the purpose of people who do not know, who do not have idea about data terminologies and how things work within data space, especially within the cloud environment. After now, I'll be moving you into in the subsequent episode. I'll be moving you into each one of these data injection pathway. So our next class, we'll be talking more about pipeline. Sorry, we'll be talking more about data flow gen 2. That will just be exploring. As at now, from this, the objective of this training will have been, for us to understand what we call data flow gen 2, and then for us to understand what we call pipelines, what we call event streams, notebooks and Spark, and what we known as what direct upload and shortcut. So after that, we'll now be going more deeper into each one of these items in order to comprehend and appreciate what they do within data space. All right, so let us have a look at a pipeline now. A pipeline, from this illustration, right? Um, Let me call this one A. Let me call this one B. We want to see it as a pipeline, right? How a pipeline looks like, right? So now there is a movement from A to B. Just look like a pipeline of the water, right? Pipeline of the water. Now, from pipeline of the water, there is always a source. When you look at the pipeline of the water, there's always a source, which is at point A, and there's always a point of what? Destination, or point of what? Point of research or discharge. Now, anything that happened between A and B, we call them what? We call them activities. We call them activities. Are we together? So activities are okay. What are the things that needed to be done before the movement of data from point A to B is achieved? Right. So those are activities. Now, when you're talking about pipeline, pipeline is just a solution that we are building in order to, you know, move data from a particular location to another destination, whereby so many activities can occur along the line. So this kind of solution data pipeline uh, enhances automation of business processes. Imagine if I have to connect to a data, I have to, I have to on my system. I have to connect to a data. If I need to store data, I still need to go back online. I still need to store data. If I need to do data cleaning, I still have to do signing again, do cleaning, and then send it to somewhere. So all those activities can be done within pipeline environments. So we dig more deeper if we are taking a full episode on pipeline, on data pipeline. Now, this solution, which is a data pipeline, we use it for extract, transform, and load, or extract, load, and transform, which I did mention as regards data engineering operations. It is best suitable for enterprise scale injection. Enterprise scale injection. It means that in the industries, in companies where they deal with a large volume of data, when they make use of a data pipeline, it can lessen their burden. What somebody can be concentrating on from morning till night within few minutes, that could be achieved because the process is automated. Um, it can be used to connect to cloud on-premise sources. That is, we can use data pipeline to connect to our data that is residing in the cloud, on our data that is also residing on what maybe on our laptop or our local server. Data pipeline supports transformations during injection. It means that as data is moving from point A to point B, some of the activities could be transformation processes that I've mentioned earlier. It is also similar to Azure Data Factory, which we call ADF. Um, if you are a data engineer, the more the highly used one of the highly used tool is what ADF, Azure Data Factory, which has to do what with movement of data from one location to another. For data flow gen 2, data flow gen 2, like I did mention, is a local data injection operation that move data from the source down to destination. It is being built for analysts and business users, which means that whether you are professional or you are not professional, you can make use of data flow gen 2, as the case may be, or depending on what we are looking to do at a particular point in time. So this is ideal for Excel, that is data flow gen 2 is ideal when the file on the data we want to deal with is stored in Excel, on being stored in SharePoint, or we are connecting to SQL connections. Maybe we have our SQL Server Management System, a Management Studio, that we want to connect our data to from the cloud or from from the local environment. So we can also it can also help us to integrate with what Power BI. So Power BI Online Service, we have a data flow gen 2, which can help us in terms of what data migration and data movement. So we also have what we call event stream. Another name for event stream is what? Streaming injection. Streaming injection. That is, data is being generated continuously, and it is also being captured continuously, and it is also being analyzed continuously. So this handles event stream handles a lot of data from Internet of Things. We have logs, we have click streams. All these are different sources of what event stream data. Real-time injections with transformation rules. So it also has opportunity to issue some transformations rules that need to comply with in order for us to make best use of our data. So we also have what we call the output of event stream can be sent to the Lakehouse. It can also be sent for visualization. It can also be sent to warehouse for visualization, or Power BI, which is the core which is a core solution for um, data visualization. So we also have what we call notebook and spark. Notebook and spark. I've given a brief illustration about introduction about notebook. Notebook is just like what a programming environment where you can write codes and also process code in order to achieve a particular objective. So there is a technology that is powering the notebook, and we call that technology as work Apache Spark. Apache Spark. So we'll get to that in the course of our learning series. So Notebook is a code-fed injection with Python, R, and Scala, which means that you can only use this platform if you know how to write code, and being able to see how we can, get better results in terms of the programming language that is your default, or that is what you use often and often. So it can also help us to connect to APIs or custom data sources. By writing codes, we can just connect. It is ideal for data scientists and data engineers, right? For another way that we can have pathway data movement pathway is what we call direct upload and shortcut. I did mention the difference between direct upload and shortcut. In the direct upload, we are bringing in data from a particular location into the Lakehouse environment in the fabric. Those type of data could be file system, it could be CSV system, it could be CSV file, it could be JSON file, it can be what Parquet file. So we also have what we call shortcuts. We can create shortcuts to external storages such as Azure Data Lake, right? We also have what we call AWS S3 and a host of other. So what this does is that it helps us to know um, how how our data that is being stored somewhere can be moved or can be copied without necessarily removing the source of the data. So it can also help us in terms of direct uploads and shortcuts. It can help us to avoid duplication, which means that data appears in native in one lake. So the idea is that at any point in time, data is unique, and data is not be allowed to be not be allowed to be duplicated, so that we can conserve resources and some other things. So now let us have a look into the different data injection pathway. I want to see how does data flow look like, how does pipeline um, look like, how does event stream look like, how does notebook and Spark look like, and how can we have direct uploads and Lakehouse shortcut. So this is the demo that we're having just now, and I did mention that subsequently we'll be looking more deeper into each one of these technologies. All right. So let us take this demo first, and after the demo we'll go to what is next. All right, just a moment. Let me bring my browser up. um all right. Okay, let me bring my browser up. Okay, this is fine. um okay, now let me connect with my browser. um Let me connect with my browser. um um just a moment. um Okay. Let me go to share, and what I'm trying to share. Let me stop this slide and go to the browser. I want to share my browser. I think I will need to open another browser. Okay. Let me open another browser so that we can be fine. Okay. So I just want to be sure that we are working on a new browser. Okay, that's fine. All right, let me share this. Just a moment. Um, all right, so I want to share this. Okay, perfect. So now this is my browser, um, which give me the opportunity to uh, um, let me share this. Yes, that browser again. Just a moment. Um, uh, oh, the other one is not okay. If the other one is not showing, let me check that again. Um, Unable to share screen. What happened? Um, okay. All right. Perfect. Now, this is my browser environment, and how do I get access to the browser environment? Of course, I have to go to https forward slash app.powerbi.com slash home. Right. So if you check Module 1, we have covered that in Module 1, how we can have access to Fabric. How we can have access to Fabric environment. All right. So now, if I'm now in the Fabric environment that I've signed in, I've logged in with my username and password. Now we want to do exploration of different pathway. So the first thing for our demo is that we need to create a new workspace for this particular demo, which let me call it data injection. Data injection. So I want to call my demo as what the workspace for my demo as what data injection. Maybe do I had pathways, data injection pathways. So that's the name of my workspace. I click on apply. I click on applied, and it will now generate what? It will now generate a workspace. A workspace is just like an environment for me to work with. Okay, that is fine. So from here, I need a storage, and we discussed about Lakehouse last time, how we can make use of Lakehouse for data storage. And for data storage, we are also talking about how we can now ingest. It is when you have a storage that you can now ingest data, right? That is, it is when you have a storage environment or a storage solution that you can now bring in data from different locations. So now let me create a lake house as my storage platform. I click on new item. I go to let me search for L- Lakehouse, right? This is my what? This is my Lakehouse, and let me. I want to name it as what? LH as my Lakehouse. I can select this by default. It doesn't affect my work. So a Lakehouse is being created, and in few minutes time we see a Lakehouse that has been created. Right. This is perfect. Now, this is now the scenario of how can we ingest data, right? How can we ingest data? That is, how can we bring in data from different what? From different sources. I talk about upload file. That is, you want to bring in data. Maybe that the data is just located on your system. Just click on what? I can click on upload file. That is a data ingestion pathway number one. Another data injection pathway number two that I also talk in the course of this episode is what? New shortcut. Shortcut. Shortcut is what? You want to have access to a data that is residing outside of the lake. This is data lake, right? That we have just created now is a data lake. That is what? That is being used, to store our data. Now, how can we now bring in data from different sources? We can bring in data by just uploading the file. We can also bring data by just connecting to an external environment where the data is located. And I did mention that we make use of what we call link service. We can also bring in data from what? Data flow gen 2 that I did mention is a replica of what? Power Query that we have in Excel. And what do we do there? We make use of data flow gen 2 for data preparation, for data cleaning, for the data transformation, and ingest data. We also make use of data flow gen 2 to ingest data. That is to bring in data into Fabrica environments. Another thing that we also discuss about is that what? Uh, data pipeline. We make use of data pipeline to ingest data at scale and schedule data workflow. Two core importance of pipelines, what is being mentioned here. They are number one, when we have data that is at scale, that is, you have a data that is huge, right? Maybe there are millions of rows, billions of rows, and you need to work as fast as possible, right? You can make use of data pipeline to achieve that. Or you want to schedule data workflow. The schedule is that, imagine I'm working in a company and I have a boss that say, well, Popoola, every day you must submit a report as regards how many transactions happen between when we left office. Maybe we resume office at 9 and we leave office by 5 p.m., right? So Popoola is giving a report of what happens from when we left office at 5 p.m. yesterday to what happens as at the time we resume to office. So meaning that I must submit a report by 9 immediately I get to office. I must submit a report to my upline manager, right, or my director. Yeah, maybe another report could also be required, maybe uh between 9 and by the time we resume from our break, and our break time is just maybe 1 to 2 or 12 to 1, as the case may be. And another one is that, Popola, please, before we go home, you must submit report of transactions that happen during the afternoon time, maybe from the time we resume from our break time, our lunch time, to the time we are going home. So this could be 3 times that I'm submitting a report or I'm getting a job done for my boss. So instead of now, struggling to, every time the report is needed, I have to log into my portal. I have to do transformation. I have to do this. I have to do that. I can make use of what? I can make use of schedule. We call it a scheduling. We can make use of data scheduling. That is okay. at this point that my boss required data to be submitted, please do this for me and let the result be available. At another point, let do this for me and let the result be available. At another point, do this for me and let the result be available. That's what we use pipeline to achieve. Just a kind of automation processes that could save us a lot of stress and time. All right, so this small arrow to the right, if we click on it, we can see some other ways we can ingest data, right? We can ingest that data through what? Through the notebook that I did mention that is being used by what? By data scientists, which leverage on Apache technology. So it helps us to transform data and ingest data using code in the Apache Spark, right? I did mention something about that. Then we also have what we call event stream. Event stream help us to capture what? Real-time data, which help us to capture, transform, and route real-time streams. So these are different what? These are different. Um, this one is just a sample data. This one is just a sample. This one is just for an inbuilt sample. Just let us leave this one alone. So what are the different pathways that we have? We have upload. We have using shortcut. We have using data flow gen 2. We have using new pipeline, data pipeline. Then we have using what? Using notebook, and we have what we call event stream. So these are different um, data ingestion workflow. So um, the idea is that we are not digging deep into all of them inside this module, inside this episode. Subsequently, we'll be looking at each one of them. I did mention that our next episode will look more deep. We dig more deep into new what into what into data flow gen 2. We dig more into data flow gen 2. So just let us do a basic operation inside this so that we can demonstrate what we mean by data injection. All right, imagine I have a data that is on my flash drive or is on my desktop, and I want to ingest it. I want to bring it into what? Into this environment, which is what? Lakehouse. So the simplest thing that I can do, if you come up here, you will see Lakehouse is here at the top here, right? So the simple thing I can do is that, okay, since the data is on my system and it's not that heavy, I can click on what? I can click on upload file, right? So from the upload file, it will ask me where is that file located. Then I can now search for the folder where the file is located. The file is on the desktop, and the file is known as what? Pastor 3. I click on open. From open, that has been selected, and I click on upload. So as it is uploading, it is ingesting. As it is uploading, it is what? It is ingesting, because what has happened is that I'm pointing to a data location, which is the source of the data. Then I'm now bringing it into a destination, which is what? Which is the Lakehouse environment. As at now, the operation has been completed. I can just close this environment, and if I look here, how do I know data has been in? So if I check here, there's what we call file. Under Lakehouse, we can have tables. We get more deeper into tables inside the fabric environment or inside Lakehouse later. Just let us take it one after the other. We are going to have nothing less than 15 episodes, and we are just at episode 3, right? So I don't want to assume we understand uh, anything. So I just want to bring it down from somebody that is just thinking about cloud solution for data analytics and the best approach to go about it. All right. So here we have in our lake house we have two um, activities on two items. We have what we call tables and we have what we call files, right? We have tables and we have files. So if we want to load our data, we want to ingest our data, we can ingest our data into what? Into files. and then we can also ingest it into what, into tables, depending on the pathway that we have used, right? For upload, you can upload your file into files. You cannot upload your file into what, into tables, right? You can also make use of data flow gen 2 to upload into what, into file. All right, so now if I expand this, I can see what I just brought up, or what I just uploaded, which is what, which is a superstore data set, and it is of CSV format, right? So if I click here, I can see some other details about that data, right? I can see from here, I can fill the data, I can rename the data, I can delete the data if I don't need it. I can also see some properties about the data. So this data, I can also load it into what? I can load it into a table. As at now, if I click here, there is no data, I mean, in the what? In the table. But since I've uploaded it, I can, send it into what? I can send it into a table, which means as at now there's no table, I can just send it into a new table. So the idea is that we are just talking about injection, and that is injection that we have just done right now, right? So if it's about some other things that we look later, we just look more deeper into that environment. So that's number one. If I go back to my workspaces, and what is the workspace we are working on? We are working on data injection as a workspace, right? So we have seen how we can ingest data into what, into our lakehouse, right? From inside the lakehouse. Then we can also ingest data into this environment by making use of what? By making use of item. If I click on new item, um any ingestion method mentioned earlier, maybe I want to use a event stream. I can come here to search for event stream, and I can have access to event, right? Which is what we have discussed earlier, right? So another one is that we discussed about notebook. I can come here to write about notebook, right? So maybe I want to make use of notebook to ingest data. Can you see get data? Ingest batch and real-time data, a single location with your fabric environment. I just click on this and take me to a notebook, right? We discuss about Gen 2 data flow, Gen 2. I can just come here and see, I can see data flow Gen 2. Um, Here, I can just click on this and then data flow Gen 2. Maybe we should even create some of these services. Data flow 1, which I can use to bring in data. So this is now ongoing. So in order to save time, uh, let me go back to the my workspace. Let me go back to my work, and then Lakehouse is being created. What's another thing that we mentioned we can create? We said we can create a event stream on pipe. We mentioned something about pipeline. I just come here, I type line, then pipeline, surveys, and I can give it a name as what, pipeline 1. So what we take subsequently in our next modules are what? How do we make use of all injection that can be of importance in our analysis? All right, so we have seen how we can create data flow. We have seen how we can create what. We have also demonstrated how we can do what, how we can upload data, which was what I uploaded the other time. We can also see, if I go back to my workspace, if I go back to my workspace, and I can still look for another way that I can bring in data into fabric environment. If I go here, I made mention of event stream. Event stream. I can just write event stream. All right, so I can see event stream from here, and I should give it a name. Let me call it um event 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 stream. Event stream. So just write it as just event stream. All right, so the ways to create all these data pathways that I'm discussing about. Is there another one that I've not worked on? Let me check again. Where's my Okay, let me go to my Lakehouse. Yes, we have been able to create a data flow. We have been able to create what in first stream. We have been able to create what pipeline. So all this. Another thing that we can also create is what if I go them. We can make use of shortcuts. We discuss about what shortcuts. Short. Um, Okay, so here we can make use of shortcuts inside what inside the lake house. So all these are different ways we can use to ingest data. So in this episode, we'll be looking more deeper into uh, data flow, data flow gen 2, how, how we can make use of data flow gen 2 as a deep dive. This is the environment of data flow gen 2. This is the environment of if stream is loading. We can also see this is the interface of InvestStream. We can connect to data sources. We can use sample data, right? We can use that sample data. We can use custom endpoints. So in InvestStream, there is a need for us to collect to what? To connect to a data source, which we also known is also known as what? Data injection. Injection. So let us see the interface of pipeline. This is the interface of pipeline. Illustrating about pipeline the other time is, as said, there must be a source, right? There must be a destination, and there could be activities that can run in between the two. So if we see activities, these are some of the activities that can happen. We can also see some of the operations that we can do. I did mention about what schedule, that we can use pipeline for schedule refresh. That is, at a particular point in time, I want this to happen. Like my boss, that I did mention that, oh, Popoola, I want you to be supplying this report to me at this point in time. I can just say, when do you want me to submit my report? I can just, at what interval, from what date do I start? At what date do I end? Imagine if I'm consulting for, I'm working with organization that is not based in Nigeria. I can just look at their time, and I can just select their time, so that I can always be at the safer side. So we dig more deep when we are looking at each one of these environments, how we can maximize them, and how we can take advantage of them. All right, so that is a demo that I have for you on this, on the issue of different data pathway, data ingestion pathway. So let me take you back to the slide. My slide. All right, so let me share my slide. Just a moment. My slide. Um. All right, so let me display something just now. I'm displaying my contacts on YouTube and LinkedIn, so that we are coming to the end of this section. So that if there is any questions uh, that you may wish to ask at the end of this training, you may have the opportunity to do that. All right. So let me bring in um, the interface I was working on earlier in terms of my slide. So I click on share. There, I want to share my slide. All right, so this where we left the other time, that we want to see exploration of different data ingestion pathways in terms of data flow gen 2, which we have seen in terms of pipeline, which we have seen in terms of event stream. We have also seen that. We have also seen notebooks, and then we have also seen direct upload and one link shortcut. All right, let us proceed. Um, all right, so um, yes, this aspect is important for us to know best practices for data injection. What informs us is that we need to know how do we choose the right pathway. The idea is that we have seen direct upload, we have seen shortcut, we have seen um, the pipeline, we have seen notebook, and we have seen what we have seen different data ingestion pathway. How do I know which one is best suits or is best suitable for what I need to do? So all these are some of the things that we need to work on subsequently, so that we can see what inform our judgment as regards the operation that we need to do. So it's also important that we avoid duplication with shortcuts. We avoid duplication with shortcuts. I did mention about shortcut that okay, we are just copying we are connecting to a particular data source without necessarily moving the data to fabric environments. Automating workflow. It's also important that we can, in term of pipeline, data pipeline, we can automate our workflow in order to save time, in order to save stress, and in order to deliver as at uh, when due. So it's also important that we need to apply governance. So because this is about movement, right? It's about data movement. It is important that issue of authorization, issue of IAM. Where's my pen? There's what we call IAM. IA, right? IAM. This has to do with what? Identity, access, identity and access management. That is, who do we give authorization to access our data? Who is authorized to, to ingest data, so that people cannot just take advantage about that data. Then there's also issue about as regards data movement, right? In terms of what securing the data, and then in case of what making sure that authentication is also in a good place. Yes, what are the real world scenario? Okay, Popola, we have learned this. How can we apply this? How can we make use of this? We have different areas of applications. Data ingestion happens in retail industry. It happens in the healthcare industry. It happens in financial industry. It happens within the startup organization. For instance, in retail, we can have point of transactions, right? Point of service transactions that are, in form of streaming data. So that data is being generated continuously, and if we want to harvest the data and also maybe make report out of it, or make storage and some other things, we can make use of info stream to achieve that. Therefore, healthcare, in most cases, healthcare data are always they don't normally appear to be voluminous, right? For instance, now, if I go to hospital now, they will just take information about me, how old I am, what is my name, where do I live, what is my phone number, who is my next of kin. All those basic informations do not require so much technology. In that case, we can just make use of CSV file in order to ingest data with a pipeline. So for finance, finance all require sometimes self-service. Self-service in the sense that, oh, I want to know my statement of account. I want to generate a statement of account for myself. I want to check my balance. I want to do transfer. I want to do this and that. we can make use of what? We can make use of data flow gen 2 in order to achieve this. Therefore, startups, they can build the API injection with what? With Notebook in order to achieve some of their objectives. All right, so I want to give rooms for participants online. If there's any question, if there's no question and then you think of any question later, just make use of the content that is trolling. You can reach out to me on LinkedIn. You can reach out to me on my YouTube environment. All right, so what is the recap? In this episode, we have uh, what we mean by data injection, right? We have also seen why data injection is very, very important. We have also seen an overview of injection pathways. We have, a little bit dive into each pathway where we, explore in details characteristics of each pathway. We have also seen demo, taking you to fabric environment and demonstrated some of the pathways, if not all, that we have. I've also informed you about best practices for injection, the likes of ensuring security of the data that you are moving, the likes of if you are making use of shortcuts, that you are not duplicating data movement, and some other scenarios. We have also seen how we can apply this skill, this knowledge that I've shared today in terms of real world scenario. All right, so for contacts, you can reach out to me through any one of this platform. I also want to inform you that this section is being recorded. You can have access to it on the LinkedIn. You can have access to it on the LinkedIn at any point in time that you are free to do so. All right, so thank you for being part of this great section. Um, Come next time, we'll be looking at episode 4, where I'll be looking at how do we make use of um, um, that Gen 1, which is one of the data injection pathway that we have looked into today. So I want to thank you for being part of this series, and come next time when I shall be notifying you of the next episode. Please let us do it together. If there's any um section that you have missed, please do well to check previous editions. Let me share something just now, um, so that we can pay attention to this particular episode. This particular episode. All right, so you can rewatch this episode on demand after the show through this link. So the link. I've dropped the link that you can use to rewatch this section. All right, so until next time, when I come on your way, I want to thank you for being part of this success story today. And by next week, we'll be looking at another aspect of this learning series. Thank you so much and enjoy the rest of your weekend. Bye for now.